Hi, this is Cameron back again with another video for my vinyl collection. This time I'm going to show off some albums that start with the letter T. I'm on my fourth video of albums that start with the letter T. So let me get started right away. First of all, there's Terrence and Eye for an Ear, which came out in 1969. This is some psych pop. Followed up by some Tahitian music. Terrorutua and his Tahitians, Lure of Tahiti. This came out about 1958. I know there's at least one other album by this artist. Then a spoken word album on Ellen Terry, and it's featuring narrative by Sybil Thorndike. This came out in 1969. Ellen Terry was an actress in the, I believe, the early 20th century. Then a UK pop band called Terry and Jerry Reservation. Then on Electra, a collection of two different 10 inches, now on a 12-inch, French troubadour songs sung by Yves Tessier and Italian folk songs sung by Cynthia Gooding. This came out about 1963, with the 10 inches appearing sometime before that. Then out of Mexico, Testimonio Musical de Mexico on the Museo Nacional de Antropología. So it's mostly indigenous music from Mexico. This came out about this probably came out in the 1960s. Or maybe early 70s. Some steel band music, Texaco on Steel, featuring the Texaco Cats and Jammer Steel Orchestra and the Texaco West Star Steel Orchestra. This came out in 1965. Some steel band music from Jamaica. Now these steel bands always do some cover tunes of the popular hits of the day. Like you'll see some of the steel bands featuring Beatles songs and Whiter Shade of Pale, songs like that. Then a single by Texas, a Scottish band, Every Day Now Live, studio EP. And then the actual album where it comes from, which is Texas South Side. So both the EP and the album came out in 1989. Now I have a whole collection, a number of collections of Texas garage band from the 60s, and all these albums came out in the 80s. These collections came out. So first one on Eva Records, Texas punk groups from the 60s. And this features The Undertaker, Society, Cynics, Blue Things, Chessmen, Them, Outcasts, and Mouse in the Traps. A number on psychedelic records. Texas Punk Rock, 1964 to 68, Volume 3, The Sights and Sounds of an Era. This came out in 1984, featuring The Living End, Centuries, Chevelle 5, The Outcasts, The Sights and Sounds, and The Living End. Just going to close the curtain a little bit. It's getting a little too bright in here for shining off of the records. It's great to have some sunlight after so much snow in April, but it doesn't help with the recording very much. So Texas Punk Volume 5, 1965 to 67 in McAllen, Journey to Pharaoh's Valley with the Headstones. So this has the Headstones, Christopher and the Souls, the Cavaliers, the Playboys of Edinburgh, Gene Hatfield, and the Cavaliers. Same series, Texas Punk on Psychedelic Records, Volume 6, Dallas, 1966, featuring the Novas, the U.S. Britons, the Bricks, the Bi-Fives, Penthouse 5, the Word D, and the Chessmen. Volume 7 of Texas Punk 1966 on Psychedelic Records. This time featuring the Bricks and the Chaparrals. Volume 10 of Texas Punk 1966 with SJ and the Crossroads. And it also has Group Therapy, Deuces Wild, and Knightsbridge Quintet. Just going to try and get a little less of that sunlight. Then out of Africa, I believe Cameroon, Johnny Tissano, Cours Circuit. Or Circuit. My French is not as good as my Spanish, so I tend to merge the two languages when I try to pronounce French. Okay, next up, this is minimalist symphonic music, Jean-Pierre Tanez, Occitania. This came out in 1984. Some pop, 1969, The Prophets, Playgirl. This is a little bit weaker sounding than I prefer for the pop. I know they get compared to the Grassroots and other bands like that, the Association, but I find them even weaker sounding. And don't get me wrong, I like Grassroots, I like the Association, but this is a little bit not quite up to the same par. Then from Ireland, Van Morrison with Them, The Angry Young Them. This originally came out in 1965. This is an 80s reissue. Then later on, Without Van Morrison, Now and Them, which came out in 1968, again an 80s reissue. UK Rock, then Jericho, First, The Sound of Music. This came out in 1987. Some UK post-punk synth-pop. First album by The Soul Mining from 1983. Nature Sounds recording by Catherine Thexton in Manitoba, Canada, in praise of spring. The only Thin Lizzy I have on album, the rest I have on CD. So a late album, Renegade from 1981. And finally, a country compilation called Third Annual Wonderful World of Country Music from about 1966. And this features Dean Manuel, Cowboy Copas, Pee Wee King and Red Stewart, June Stearns and Gene Martin, George Jones, Arthur Guitar Boogie Smith, and then a number of other artists as well. The nice thing is that it has reproductions of the covers of all the artists that are featured on this album. So that's it for my fourth video of vinyl albums that start with the letter T in my collection. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your comments down below and I'll try to respond as quickly as possible. Have a good day. Bye-bye.